Seeing through the fog. Today we're aiming up by making better predictions with better assumptions. You can have one now, or two when I come back. This was the Stanford marshmallow test in the 1970s, where kids who waited for the second treat were linked to better lives as adults. Healthier, wealthier, happier. Willpower was destiny. But hold on, is that the full story? The Rochester experiment showed kids burned by an unreliable adult, promising better crayons that never came, ate the marshmallow immediately. Those with a reliable adult waited. Same setup, but a history of promise-breaking adults made the difference. Further studies revealed family income, stability, and education predicted waiting time better than innate traits. It was never just raw willpower. It was learned trust from one simple question. Given my past experience, what is the probability the adult will actually return with a second marshmallow? The past experience are what we refer to as priors. This is where the fog rolls in thick, right into that marshmallow room. Without knowing the true priors shaping those kids' choices, the whole experiment looks like a clear lesson in self-control. Grab the treat now? Weak willpower. Wait it out? Great future ahead. Yet when we dig into the hidden priors like unreliable promises or unstable homes, suddenly the predictions flip. Unclear assumptions create fog. It makes every obvious takeaway feel plausible, leaving us defenseless against bad advice. We get overwhelmed by surface-level facts without spotting the manipulation underneath. Instead of just observing who waits, ask, how can I help children wait for those two marshmallows? Or the real question we all face, how can I chart the path to my goals? Making assumptions about the priors changes the predictions for paths to success. If we assume it's just self-discipline, we teach that we drill habits, build routines, reward patience in the moment. But if it's about reliable adults, we need to teach the adults first. The adults need to be consistent, to be reliable, and to create trust so kids believe the second marshmallow is coming. Or if it's socioeconomic factors like family income or stability, that's something completely different. Then it's about systemic change. Better support networks, education access, economic policies that lift everyone, because no amount of personal willpower overrides a world where promises rarely hold. We're surrounded by predictions and plans built on these foggy priors. Politicians promise miracles or warn of doom. CEOs roll out 5-year plans with massive slide decks. Think tanks drop massive reports on climate, AI, health, or whatever, claiming they've cracked it. True? Or just someone else's hidden priors dressed up as fact? Daily life is the same. Will this person really show up on time? They're late already. How much longer will they be? Is this investment safe? For how long? All marshmallow problems, all hidden in the same fog. The priors will inform our conclusions and thus the process and policies to achieve the desired outcome. Brian Christian and Tom Griffiths in Algorithms to Live By hand us 2 floodlights to burn that fog away. First, Bayes' rule. And second, a sharp nose for overfitting. Bayes' rule is the mathematically precise way to update your beliefs when new evidence arrives. In plain English, start with your prior, weigh how well the new evidence fits, the likelihood, and you get an updated belief, the posterior. The posterior equals the likelihood times the prior, all divided by the evidence. The higher the posterior probability, the stronger the case. But that update only works if the prior and the real-world distribution are right, and most forecasts conveniently hide those. People fixate on the shiny evidence. Influencers, honest or not, know the game is actually won in 2 places most of us never look. 1. The starting prior, and 2. The distribution they assume. Let's start with a couple definitions. Distribution, the true probability law that predicts real-world outcomes. Prediction rule, the practical shortcut that is derived from that distribution. The 3 big families of distributions, the book spotlights. Normal prior, a bell curve, generates the average rule. If you've waited 10 minutes, expect about 10 more. Power law, a fat tails winner-take-all, generates the multiplicative rule. If you've waited 10 minutes, 10 minutes could easily become an hour. Erlang, a memoryless steady drip, generates the additive rule. If you've waited 10 minutes, add another full 10. When you see the predictions or requirements of a plan, you can tell what distribution model is being used. Additive means the prior assumed is an Erlang distribution. Multiplicative means the prior assumed is a power law distribution. Average means the prior assumed is a normal distribution. Pick the wrong distribution and your prediction is in a completely different ballpark. Here's what I mean. Given a 90-year-old, how much longer do you expect him to live? If age was a power law distribution, you might expect him to live another 90 years. Assuming an Erlang distribution and the average human lives to 80, you'd expect him to live another 80 years. But age is a normal distribution, and we know that he's already above the average already, so we can expect several more years, but not decades. A central bank economist modeling inflation as a bell curve or normal distribution gets destroyed by power law supply shocks. A CEO who treats supply chains as Erlang prior will miss the power law of a transport or postal strike or the normal distribution of daily delivery. So when someone hands you a glossy forecast, two questions instantly cut through the fog. What distribution are you assuming governs this process? And why is that the right one here? Blank stare or hand waving? Congratulations, the fog just cleared itself. Now the second floodlight, overfitting. That's when a model gets so obsessed with every wiggle in the old data that it tracks the noise instead of learning relevant signal. It overcomplicates with too many variables that don't carry significant impact. It looks perfect in the rearview mirror, but crashes the moment it gets new information. In short, it can't predict. More variables always improve fit on past data. That's why overfitting feels smart until reality hits. How do we know when reality hits? We know when we make the next prediction. The job candidate with the perfect handshake and a great answer bombs on the job. The trendy diet that was perfectly tuned for the first cohort flops for the rest of the planet. Or the pollster who modeled with 73 variables, aced the last 3 elections but crashed in the last one. Overfit models create a false sense of clarity while setting you up for disaster. The fog. What's the best defense? Relentless simplicity. Occam's razor. Go for the explanation with the fewest assumptions. The fewer parts mean less room for noise. Regularization. Build in a penalty for adding extra variables and unnecessary complexity. This encourages us to ignore minor details to keep the core strong. Early stopping. Stop tweaking when improvements on new data stall. Don't chase perfection on the old data. Heuristics. Quick generalized rules help spot overcomplicated promises fast. An example is the recognition heuristic. Does this remind me of past flops? Christian and Griffith sum it perfectly. It is indeed true that including more factors will always make a better fit for the data we have already. Christian and Griffiths sum it perfectly. It is indeed true that including more factors will always make a better fit for the data we have already. Now, when you put the two floodlights together, you will become powerful in the best way. As you set goals and plan action toward them, first, be clear about your priors, making them visible so you can update them. Second, understand the distribution law that applies to your situation, so you can evaluate how reasonable the expected outcome really is. When someone else decides a course of action, learn about their priors and have them outline the distribution law they're applying to this situation. This can be as simple as having them describe the expected rise or fall over time. If they can't name it or describe it, any prediction will be very unreliable. It's important to ask, how does this model perform on data it's never seen before? Do that consistently and the fog lifts. When priors and distributions are honest and explicit, and when only the few significant variables are considered, predictions and plans will change and evolve. That's not failure, that's That's progress. The next time someone gives you a confident prediction and a great plan or a new policy, evaluate it through those two filters. You'll cut through the haze faster than any expert panel, end up with positions that are defensible, predictable, and powerful, clearing the fog for a great direction. Thanks for watching and keep aiming up.